Welcome to Math Rescue. I'm Victoria and we're going to be working in trigonometry today. We're going to cover angles measured in degrees for part 1 of this segment on angles and arcs. First, we need to cover a handful of basic definitions pertaining to angles. Angles in standard position open to the right with their first ray aligned on the positive x-axis. The other ray, called the terminal side, is what determines the angle measure. A straight angle is an angle that measures 180 degrees. A right angle is one that measures 90 degrees. An acute angle measures between 0 and 90 degrees, and an obtuse angle is one that measures between 90 and 180 degrees. A quadrantal angle is an angle with its terminal side on an axis. The quadrantal angles less than 360 degrees are 0, 90, 180, and 270 degrees. Angles can be labeled by their quadrant number. Angles between 0 and 90 degrees lay in quadrant 1. Angles between 90 and 180 degrees are in quadrant 2. Angles between 180 and 270 are in quadrant 3. And angles between 270 and 360 degrees are in quadrant 4. Let's look at two examples. 52 degrees is between 0 and 90 degrees, so it is a quadrant 1 angle. And 199 degrees is between 180 and 270 degrees, so it is a quadrant 3 angle. Two positive angles are called complementary if their sum is equal to 90 degrees, and two positive angles are called supplementary if their sum is equal to 180 degrees. To find an angle's complement, simply subtract the angle from 90 degrees. To find its supplement, just subtract it from 180 degrees. Two angles are coterminal if you can add an integer multiple of 360 degrees to one of the angles in order to get the other. So 60 degrees is coterminal to 780 degrees because 60 plus 360 times 2 equals 780. Find an angle less than 360 degrees that is coterminal to 610 degrees. First, if the angle is positive, divide by 360. Then subtract whatever whole number you get. Next, multiply the final decimal by 360 degrees. This angle is coterminal to the angle you started with. So here, 610 degrees divided by 360 is 1.694 repeating. Subtract the whole number 1 and we get 0.694. Multiply this decimal by 360 and we get the answer 250 degrees. So 250 degrees is coterminal to 610 degrees. You can easily use your calculator to perform this calculation for you. Type in the angle divided by 360 and press enter. You get the number 1.694 repeating. Then simply type minus 1. A and S will appear and this stands for answer. Your calculator is pulling the answer from the previous calculation and bringing it down to the next one. Then simply type times 360. And you get the answer 250 degrees. Now let's try this with a negative angle. Find an angle less than 360 degrees that is coterminal with negative 872 degrees. Since the angle is negative, you have to approach the problem slightly differently. First step is the same, divide by 360 degrees. Here we get negative 2.42 repeating. Next, subtract 1 less than the whole number, including its sign, from the decimal number. So we're subtracting negative 2 minus 1. This is the part most people get hung up on. Simply drop the decimal from the number, keep the sign, subtract 1, and then subtract this from the full decimal. You'll notice you'll essentially be adding 3 to your decimal number. Here we get the number 0.57 repeating. Now multiply this by 360 and you get 208 degrees. So 208 is coterminal with minus 872 degrees. This is now the end of part 1. In part 2, we'll be looking at the degrees, minutes, and seconds notation for angles, and how to convert between that notation and decimal degrees. I hope you'll join me for part 2. Below the video, you'll find a link to the blog post that corresponds with this video, and whenever I get the second part posted, I'll put a link in the video and in the description box below.